How's it going, everybody? Hopefully you're having a good day. I know I am so far. Come here, bud. Got this dude with me. Keep me on track for whatever it is goal I have today for miles. Anyway, so this is a near and dear thing to my heart, this one. And that is that we're not meant to feel as much comfort as we have come to feel in our lives these days. This one to me has given me a little bit, I wouldn't say sick pleasure, that'd be a little weird, but this one to me has given me a little bit of an inside joke whenever people come up and say the struggle is real. I love that. I hear people say that because, they having a hard time getting up in the morning, or I'm having a hard time, doing things that, finding the remote. I mean, everything that was never difficult before is now so difficult in this day and age. I mean, it's like an infomercial, that ridiculous thing where you have to have a special thing to get your toothpaste out of it, right? And you've got some dope on there who's trying as hard as he can. He's like, the cap shoots across the room. He sprays the mirror with the toothpaste, and that's just why you need the whatever device that's been created. And I'm starting to think, as a matter of fact, I'm starting to know, I believe. I don't think that's real. I'm starting to know, or come to know, that struggle and difficulty in life is of deep importance. And as we start to zap a lot of the things that make life more of a challenge out, like acquiring food, being able to contact somebody, getting to work in 15 minutes when you live, 5 miles away, whatever it might be. As we start to remove a lot of those things and make things easier, I think it's creating a lot of downtrodden natures in people. It's making people not want to get out of bed, right? Things aren't being done for them. The point, the purpose, all these things are gone. Now, if you follow me very much, you know that I hunt. I am big into self-sustenance, and I watch an absolute ton of Meat Eater. I follow a guy named Steve Rinella. He's the one who hosts Meat Eater, and I absolutely love the dude. I mean, I've never met him before, but I listen to what he says about life, about hunting, about how if you're going to go after something and you're taking somebody with you for their first time of doing something that you find worthwhile and difficult, that it's almost cheating that person for them to find success instantly. That's a lot like how hunting is in general. You watch these shows that are on TV, hunting shows that are a joke. You get some guy out there who is in his stand for 5 seconds and, oh, look, a deer bigger than any deer you've ever seen in your life. And he shoots it. What they don't show is 5 guys going out there carrying it back to the truck for this guy, and him going back to the luxury hotel or whatever. And luxury hotel thing might be a bit much, but they don't show that stuff. They don't show a guy or someone else who's out there scouting that deer for him for 3 or 4 days, making sure that he had everything set up so that he could get the perfect shot. And Steve's nothing like that. He goes out onto public land rather than private land to hunt. A lot of the times he gets nothing, But part of the pleasure is the struggle later on. It's looking back and feeling accomplished because you cared enough to make sure that you were going to stick it out. That come hell or high water, at the end of the day, you gave it your best. And if you got beat and came home with nothing, you'll be back some other time because you're not going to pack it in a failure. But he talks about that a lot and goes over the fact that struggle and suffering and things like that in life are important to development. It's actually important to appreciating things and having purpose. And that's something over the last, 8 to 12 months that I've been putting a lot of stock into and studying really heavily. Start to think in your life, what are you not doing because it is more difficult than you would prefer? Are you not changing your own oil in your car, irrelevant, no big deal. But who knows? Maybe you find out you like working on cars because you want to work on your own stuff. Are you not fixing your own, more gourmet meals? Or are you always getting the Hungry Man dinner, which is pretty far from that? Are you cheapening life? I guess that's the big thing. Is a lot of what we're creating now, technologically and comfort-wise, cheapening what it is to be human. And I have a hard time thinking that it's not. I have a hard time thinking that, and maybe this is a first world problem. I've had the benefit of going to other countries and having talked to several people. I wasn't in the military. I really wish I would have been, and have more respect than imaginable for our service men and women and first responders. But getting the opportunity to go to other countries, Mexico, Jamaica, places like that, and learn that things are not nearly as easy for those people as it is for us, is really something else, And a lot of that has to do with a lot of our ancestors putting in the time already. I'm not going to get into every segment of American history or get into any arguments about how somebody feels about why we're here or otherwise. But if we think about ourselves as an individual unit that started at some point in a primal form, we used to have to fight for food, we used to have to fight for shelter, all these things, and nowadays we take all of that stuff for granted. People get a brand new car on average once every 3 years, which in my opinion means they rarely appreciate the one that they have for those 3 years, and they get it. They get it for, that first 5 weeks feels really special, and then it's just another car afterwards. We've lost our purpose and our appreciation, and I'm starting to really believe, as I listen to some of these guys that talk about this, the Joe Rogans out there, the Jocko Willinks, guys like that, the Steve Rinella type fellas, that the more we surround ourselves with things that are automating our lives and making things far easier, the more cheapened our lives become. And the more, in the long term, honestly, the more difficult life is. Look at the depression epidemic. I can't help but think that part of that has to do with a lack of purpose. They may be spawned from the fact that everything's so easy nowadays. We get trophies for showing up. All we have to do is go to work, and we expect a raise at the end of the year, no matter whether we've deserved it or earned it or whatever. Evaluate your lives. I think I'm going to start having segments at the end of each of these, or middle, or wherever, that kind of take my little rants and such that I have, or whatever you want to call these, and try to get you to apply them to your lives. Evaluate your life. The Self-Conscious podcast that I had was trying to get people to stop themselves from using the word can't, or from making themselves sound incapable of doing something that they otherwise could. And in this example, start thinking about that. How many things are you not doing because, it'd be easier to go this way rather than that way? How many things are you... Horrible camera angle, guys. But that's my fault. Fat fingers. But how many things are you shying away from out of level of difficulty? If you think about anyone out there who has accomplished the massive things that you look at, they all have a handful of things in common. And one of those things is that they don't shy away from the difficult. As a matter of fact, the greatest minds that we'll ever have and ever have had all challenge themselves. They try to push further than other people were willing to. The greatest athletes we have. One of my favorite things actually is studying athletes, and one that's very hard to deny was phenomenal is Jerry Rice. Think about being at his position as long as he was. The physical feats that man would have to do just in training that people weren't willing to do on the field. were astonishing. I mean, no wonder the guy was, an all-time total legend. No wonder he, was as lights out as he is. Local hero for us, Jim Thome. People would say that he was drafted, he's late draft. People would say that he didn't seem to have all the talent in the world. There are better people drafted. He worked way harder than everyone else. Now he's in the Hall of Fame, The guy's put himself there with his efforts. Imagine if he shied away from difficult and hard and all that stuff. Who would he be today? And the thing is, if you've ever met him, he's one of the nicest guys ever. The ego doesn't exist in him like it does for most people who have achieved his level of talent. So ask yourself that. Really sit on it, man. Think about it for a good long while. How easy am I making my life? And how much is that holding me back? What am I incapable of handling because of not inserting difficulty and challenge into my everyday? David Goggins, who is he is a modern day Superman. Look him up, listen to some of his philosophies. He talks about doing one thing that sucks every day. For him, for some people, that's just, eating certain foods. For him, it might mean literally breaking a hole in the ice and jumping down in ice cold water for 15, 20 minutes. It might mean going on a ridiculous jog or something like that. But his point in everything is push yourself. Because if you're not pushing yourself, you're not getting the most out of yourself as a human being, at least in my opinion. Anyway, this has been another Commanding Image podcast block. I really appreciate you guys sticking around for this one. Sorry that the camera angle again is a little bit rough, but I think I don't even think I talk on the phone without walking around, so I guess it's just kind of normal for me to like to be on the move. Anyway, thank you so much. If you like what we're saying, share us, hit the notifications. Feel free to send us a DM about things we ought to be doing differently or subjects you might like to see us cover. And follow us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. We have a lot of motivational things that we post there weekly, and our podcasts always get uploaded there. Anyway, thank you very much, and take it easy.